So let's look at Kubernetes architecture, right? So the Kubernetes basically, or the Kubernetes cluster basically consists of two type of nodes. One is known as the master node, and one is known as the worker node. So worker node is basically where you runs your container in the Kubernetes cluster, and master node is basically the brain of the Kubernetes cluster. So let's see what are the components that a Kubernetes master node had, and what are the components that a worker node has, right? So we're talking about the main components, right? So when, for an example, a user request a or execute a command, it basically first goes to what we call as the Kubernetes API server. So the first request will go to the Kube API server, and the Kube ACI server will then communicate with different components to retrieve the data and gives back to the user, right? For example, you want to know how many pods are currently running in a Kubernetes cluster, right? So you execute a command, and it first talks to the Kube API server, and Kube API server will check the HCD server or HCD component and retrieve the information and give back to the user, right? So HCD is basically a database server, a key value database server in Kubernetes cluster. So all the information regarding the pod and the containers are saved in the HCD servers, right? HCD database. Kube API is basically the orchestrator for all the operations in a Kubernetes cluster. So all the communication between the components will be executed through the Kube API servers. Then you have a scheduler. So let's say that you want to create a container, right? So it's the scheduler's responsibility to identify the worker node where the container should be placed, right? So the Kube APIs talk to the scheduler, and scheduler will run certain parameters. For an example, let's say that you have 5 worker nodes, and you want to create a container of, let's say, with some resources. Let's say that you want to create a container that has, for example, 8 core, right, or CPU to run this container, or the application inside the container, right? So the scheduler will check all the nodes and see, like, okay, what are the containers, or what are the nodes that has more than its CPU. So it will shortlist those worker nodes who has more than 8 CPU. Then in the second step, basically it can check, okay, if I place this container in a, let's say I have to shortlisted 3 worker node after the first step, and this has 10 cores, this has 12 cores, and this has 14 cores. So it will check, okay, if I place this container in any of this node, what will be the resources left, right? So if it plays like kind of 8 core contain application here, then it has only 2 core left. But if you see here, it will be having at least 6 core, right? So this will be the winner, and scheduler will request the Kube API to uh, place this container in this worker node. So that's the basic responsibility of a scheduler. It basically tells the node where the container should be placed to the Kube API server. Now the Kube API server has different functionality. So if a user is accessing your master node or Kubernetes cluster, it basically authenticate it, validate the request, and then retrieves the data, right? and it also update all the information. Let's say that you need to create a new port and the scheduler has identified the port and you're going to place the container in that port. That information will be again passed to the etcd with the help of Kube API server, right? So it's talked to all the other components. Now you identified the node. Let's say that you have identified the worker node 1 for this example to place your container, right? So what API server does after getting the information from the scheduler, it basically contact what is known as kubelet server, right? The kubelet agent. So kubelet is basically an agent that sits inside each node. So it tells the kubelet that okay, you need to spin up this container in the node. So kubelet then requests the Docker engine to basically run the container on top of the Docker engine, right? So that's the main functionality of kubelet. Kubelet is basically an agent that sits in each node and is responsible for basically creating the pod, maintaining the pod in a Kubernetes cluster, right? And it also monitor the pods. So that is what a kubelet agent does. And you also have something known as controllers in a Kubernetes cluster. So controllers are basically, the brain, right? So it has multiple. It's known as controller manager, and controller manager consists of different controller elements, right? So you have, for an example, node controller, replication controller, deployment controller. Uh, so there are a lot of controller functionality. For an example, as I told you, there is job controller, then there is replication set, endpoint controller, name server controller. There are a lot of them. So if you take, for an example, a node controller, right? So a node controller will be basically responsible for managing the nodes in an Kubernetes cluster. So let's say that you have 5 nodes, and let's say that a node is not reachable, right? So a controller basically watches the status of the node and provide some kind of remediation, right? So if for example your fifth node is not reachable, let's say after 5 seconds, so it's basically have a period where it checks. So each 5 seconds it polls the nodes to identify the node is still up and running. If it's not able to get a response within the 40 seconds, it identify that node as unreachable, and it will give 5 minutes for that node to come up, right? If that node is not coming up, the containers inside the nodes will be replicated in the other nodes which is available and healthy. So that's a functionality of a node controller inside the Kubernetes control manager, right? uh, the other one will be the replication controller, right? For example, you have a container that you set the replication set number as, for example, 6. Then at a period of time, 6 containers should be up and running for that application within your Kubernetes cluster, right? So if one of your uh, container or one of the pod which has this container, for example, got terminated, right? uh, it will be the responsibility of controller to basically tell the API server, and the API server passes this information to the kubelet with the help of scheduler, which identify which node that should be spinned up, and the kubelet will tell the Docker on that node to basically spin up the new controller, right? New containers, right? So it will make sure that there are at least 6 replicas of that container at a time running in the cluster. So that's the responsibility of controller. So everything basically talks to the Kube API, and this Kube API responsibility to pass the information to the correct functionality. Now, if you have, let's say, node 1 and node 2, and node 1 is hosting your web application in the container, and node 2 is hosting your database application in the container. They basically need to talk to each other, right? So their communication is basically done through the help of kube proxy. The kube proxy will basically allow you to communicate between different nodes containers, right? For example, you will have something known as services, and if you have an IP assigned to the services, the outside user will be accessing that service IP address, and it can go to a node where there is no where the container is not running. Then it will be basically redirect to the node where the container is running, right? So it does with the help of kube proxy. So these are the main components of a Kubernetes cluster. uh, in next video we will be basically talking about how to configure this. Thank you.